Nikki Bella makes shocking return from injury to help Brie Bella from Lainey Reid attack. Sometimes the loudest comeback in wrestling does not need fireworks or a fancy entrance video, it just needs perfect timing and one furious former champion storming down that ramp at exactly the right moment. That is precisely what happened when the entire arena erupted because someone who had been sidelined for months suddenly reappeared like she never left. Welcome back to Wrestling Rush News, where we break down every twist before the dust settles. If you love a good redemption story wrapped in chaos, subscribe and tap that notification bell right now, because this one is about to get very personal, very fast. Let us set the stage, because this story did not start last night, it started months ago with a devastating injury that derailed everything. Nikki Bella had been out of action since suffering a serious ankle injury back in March, an injury bad enough to require surgery and force her to miss WrestleMania entirely. If you have ever watched an athlete get sidelined right before the biggest stage of the year, you know that kind of heartbreak does not just heal physically, it lingers mentally too. Paige stepped in as her replacement, and alongside Brie Bella, the duo actually won the Women's Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. So while Nikki was rehabbing on the sidelines, her own sister was out there making history without her. Think about that for a second. That is the wrestling equivalent of watching your best friend win the championship game from a hospital bed. Fast forward a few months, and Brie and Paige's title reign came to a bitter end when Fatal Influence, the conniving trio of Jacy Jayne, Fallon Henley, and Lainey Reid, dethroned them at Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden using every cheap trick in the book. Brie was reportedly devastated by the loss, and rightfully so. Because losing gold on one of the biggest stages in the world with a side of blatant cheating is about as bitter a pill as you can swallow. But here is the thing about wrestling storytelling, every heartbreak sets up the perfect revenge arc, and this one was building towards something big. That brings us to this most recent episode of SmackDown, where Brie Bella stepped into the ring for a one-on-one showdown against Lainey Reid, and this was not just about pride, this was about payback. Reid and her Fatal Influence teammates spent the lead up to the match gloating about their dirty win, practically daring Brie to do something about it. And Brie did exactly that. Despite Jayne and Henley trying to interfere from the outside, Brie fought them off and delivered a picture-perfect roll-up to steal the victory right from under Fatal Influence's nose. It was the kind of underdog moment that makes you want to stand up and cheer, the wrestling equivalent of watching the smaller competitor outsmart the bullies using nothing but grit and timing. But of course, Fatal Influence being Fatal Influence, they were not about to let Brie celebrate in peace. The numbers game kicked in immediately, with the trio storming the ring for a brutal 3-on-2 beatdown against Brie and Paige. For a moment, it looked like the sore losers were about to make an example out of both former champions, punishing them simply for having the audacity to win fair and square. And just when things looked their absolute bleakest, the music hit, and the entire crowd lost their minds. Nikki Bella was back. Picture the scene. Months of rehab, months of watching from the sidelines, months of wondering when she would finally get her moment, and Nikki chose the most dramatic possible instant to make her return. She stormed the ring and cleared house, laying out Jacy Jayne with a picture-perfect rack attack, evening the odds almost instantly. It was like watching the cavalry arrive in the final act of an actie. Except this cavalry had a background in gymnastics and zero patience for cheaters. Fatal Influence, who had been running roughshod over the tag division for weeks, suddenly found themselves on the wrong end of a beatdown, scrambling to retreat instead of celebrating. Now here comes the real insight, because this was not just a feel-good return, this was a calculated move by WWE Creative to set up something much bigger. Almost immediately after making the save, Nikki grabbed a microphone and did not waste a single second on small talk. She challenged Fatal Influence directly to a 6-woman tag team match at SummerSlam, pitting herself, Brie Bella, and Paige against Jacy Jayne, Fallon Henley, and Lainey Reid. And Fatal Influence, perhaps overconfident from their recent title win, accepted the challenge without hesitation. That is the beauty of great booking. One moment of chaos turned into a fully loaded grudge match with genuine stakes, real history, and a returning star with something to prove. Let us be honest, this match is about far more than just 6 women in a ring. This is about redemption for Brie and Paige after their title loss. This is about Nikki Bella proving that months of recovery have not slowed her down one bit. And this is about Fatal Influence, a group that has built their entire reputation on cutting corners, finally being forced to answer for their actions in front of the entire WWE universe at SummerSlam. So as SummerSlam approaches, keep your eyes locked on this rivalry, because Fatal Influence has been riding high off cheap wins for far too long, and now they are staring down a trio that has every reason in the world to make them pay. Nikki Bella's return alone was electric, but pairing that with a grudge match this loaded means SummerSlam just got a whole lot more must-see. That wraps up today's breakdown here at Wrestling Rush News. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.